Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Motherkind. It is me, Zoe, your host. I'm so happy that you are here. This is the show for you, the woman behind the mother. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am thinking pretty much non-stop at the moment about the future that we are preparing our children for. And it's so difficult, isn't it, as parents? Because I'm thinking, what are the skills that they are going to need? So I have done a bit of deep dive research. You know what I'm like? I'm going in my rabbit holes. And what is coming out loud and clear is that children are going to need two things really clearly. One is confidence and one is resilience. And I think those things have always been important. But the research shows that they are going to become even more important because I think AI and what is happening in the technological space can never replace someone's ability to stand up in a room and present and sell their ideas and connect human to human. So I'm absolutely buzzing because I've partnered with Stagecoach, which is just the most incredible business. It was founded in 1988 by a mother because she wanted to find a place where her son could express himself creatively. She couldn't find it, so she did what us mums do, and she created it herself. The business is nearly 40 years old. Many of you listening probably did it when you were younger. I know I was a Stagecoach kid when I was younger, and it's still that amazing safe space for children to experiment, to perform, to embrace fear, and to become these confident, resilient adults that we want. So I'm so excited to invite Sarah, who is from Stagecoach. Sarah is a performance and a drama play expert. She is a Stagecoach franchisee, and we are going to chat about developing this creativity, developing this resilience. So welcome, Sarah. I'm so excited.
Thank you very much. I'm excited as well. Thank you for having me.
So if someone's just pressed play and they're thinking, I'm hooked, ladies, I'm interested, why should they stay with us? What is someone going to get out of this episode?
Well, I mean, we are sending our wonderful, precious human beings out into this vast new landscape, this new world. You know, it's very, very exciting. There's going to be AI, all sorts of technology, and it's very, very fast paced. I'm sure everybody feels that. There's a lot of screens and imagery and everything's very fast moving. And it's our job as parents to equip, you know, the most precious thing that we have with an armory of tools to, you know, go out there and keep the human connection going. Interact, communicate, you know, physically be in the room with people, read body language, and be really confident little human being, well, big human beings, hopefully, ultimately when they become adults and go out into the world so that our job is done and done very well. And we have a strong child that can go out there into the big wide world.
It's so interesting because we think about kind of performing and creativity. And I love that you talked about using your body. But before I started researching for this episode, I don't think I had any idea at how effective that sort of training and teaching is, because just 20 hours of drama-based learning can increase confidence by 30%. And I'm like a mini case study for this because I did Stagecoach when I was younger. And then I went into the theatre for a little bit when I was 9 and 10. And I've always been really good at presenting. I've always been really good at communication. And it's kind of enabled my success in every role that I've had, including this one. And I think that it came from those hours when I was kind of 7 to 10 of doing all that drama. Is that what you see?
Oh, my goodness. I cannot tell you enough. It's so fundamental to everything. Our classes and the performing arts, they go with you throughout your whole lifespan.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same with me and my children and all the little people that I teach. The classes give them a way to connect with people, the way they go out into the big wide world. They learn to handle nerves and sort of the butterflies in their stomach. And instead of them being crippling and that fear kind of being overwhelming, they've had the experiences through those classes and the drama and the dance and the singing to then be like, okay, I've done this. I'm okay. I can walk into the job interview. I can walk onto the stage, or I can walk into the kiosk and say, "Can I have a coffee, please?"
Yeah,
because they're all skills that we forget that we're teaching everybody. And if you don't have that sort of basic training, and it's going because we're looking down all the time. We're not looking outward. Look around you in the streets. Everybody's got their heads down. Everybody's looking, you're forgetting to look outward at the world, and it's such a magical place. And I'm worried that we're not going to keep looking out, and the performing arts, allows us to create those connections. Oh, it's quite worrying. I'm worried. It's stressful.
Yeah. It's so true, because I in my first job, so I was on the graduate scheme at BMW, and my sort of it feels like another life. But I remember so vividly. So I'd only been there about a month, and my boss was meant to do a presentation to the whole company. So imagine like a massive room. There's probably 500 people there, and he was ill that day. And they were saying, "Oh, what are we going to do?" And I was, new in graduate, 21. I went, "I'll do it," and everyone was like. I stood up, and it wasn't a big deal for me because I had been at Stagecoach. I had been on stages. I'd been in the theatre. I'd done, big performances. I was in RSC for a few years, and I got promoted really quickly. And I think it was just so linked to that ability to just stand up and present. But so many people there's the famous stat, isn't it? People are more scared of death than public speaking.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I think when I think about that skill, that's really what I'm doing with my girls. Is, like you said, that coffee in the kiosk. I make them order their own food. I make them go up and ask the waiter or waitress, whoever, for normally ketchup is what they want, right? They're like, can I get ketchup? I'm like, yeah. If you walk over, ask politely, look that person in the eye, say thank you, because it is such a lost. It is becoming lost, and it is going to be. If you think about what's going to get automated at work, we've got to be able to present ourselves, to stand up, to sell our ideas, to look humans in the eye.
Exactly. And I've got my sort of children have done a lot in the performing arts. My Stagecoach children and my own personal children.
I'm imagining your home is like just jazz hands. Is that?
It's all very jazz hands. Yes, we often.
Do people sing? Yeah.
Yes, people sing. People come round and sing. There's all sorts of things going on. There's a sketch in the kitchen or something. My husband particularly. Just that skill to also be in a room and facilitate something or create conversations and overcome challenges. I see a lot of children perhaps who haven't had this sort of performing arts training. And the biggest thing for me is the ability, particularly with drama, you do a lot of exercises and improvisation where you have to say yes. You say yes, and you're in an improvisation.
Oh, I love improv. My gosh.
Improv. It's joyful. It's freeing.
So fun.
It's crazy.
I think everyone should have to go to an improv class in their life.
Yes, it's really nerve-wracking, but really great.
Yeah.
And it's so playful and so fun.
I love it.
We should do, shouldn't we? We should all play more. But when the child is in the class and you're saying, say yes, and shall we go to the moon? Yes, and what's going to happen? And I was thinking about it, and it's taking that yes and into life, isn't it? Instead of going, do you want to try this new job? Or shall we take this course to improve your skill set? Or no, it would be no, that's, you're putting a block up in life.
Yep.
And you're stopping yourself from perhaps taking an opportunity, taking that step. Because once you push through nerves, we all know, we've all been there. We've all been super nervous. And when you've pushed through the nerves, the outcome is wonderful. You're like, oh, it's fine. Yeah. Oh, it's really joyous. Yeah. Oh, it's great. And that doesn't stop into adulthood. So if we, where our life changes, there are complications.
It's actually making me emotional because when I think about my sort of story, drama and being on stages, and has formed such a part of me saying yes and even to starting this, so left field really from the track I was on, but I was like, yes. And exactly. I just as you were talking, I was like thinking, oh my God, imagine if I hadn't have had those experiences, at Stagecoach and in that sort of drama world that I loved. I wonder whether I would have been like, I can't do that. Yeah. I can't start a podcast. I've got no experience. But because I think I'd been around people like you, energies like you, I'd been in those classes, I was like, I'll try it. Exactly. What's the worst that can happen?
100%. I was looking at something recently, and how everyone talks about butterflies. Parents say all the time, have you got butterflies in your stomach? And you're like, oh, and it can be, it can be overwhelming if you let it, and somebody's not going to go forward. But if you let the butterflies fly, let them free and take a breath, it's a lovely image. And actually the butterflies are a good thing to make you stronger. So nice,
because that's what I think. People talk so much about confidence, and I think we have this kind of wrong idea of confidence, that it's the loudest in the room, or that's never my experience of it. It's that confidence to me is that ability to let those butterflies free, right? It's to do something that's scary.
Absolutely.
And to do it anyway. How do you define confidence? And when you're thinking about teaching it to the kids, what are you thinking about?
Well, I think perhaps everybody's kind of initial perception of confidence is there's the obvious ones. There's being confident enough to put your hand up in class, to take that leap, to take that plunge, to put your ideas forward,
Yeah.
and discuss them and create and be not frightened to be yourself. I sort of combine it a lot with self-esteem. I think true self-confidence is self-esteem. It's something that comes from the inside. It's not just that bravado on the outside. Someone can look very confident and be, the loudest in the room, or, waving their arms around, and actually perhaps inside they're not truly confident. And I think you can see true confidence in people from how they react to other people. So the performing arts, and particularly Stagecoach classes, you have time to sit and you watch and you can applaud other people's successes. And I think once you are looking outward at the room and you're, well done, my friend got that role. That's okay. That doesn't mean that I'm not good enough, but you're like, I am good enough. I have my own qualities, my own values, and that's an inner confidence that they can appreciate what's around them without being crushed by someone else achieving something.
It's so true.
And I think that's really huge.
That is so true. And what a
Huge.
skill for life to learn in that moment, that someone else's success doesn't take away from my own. There is an abundance of success and opportunity. Like, what a thing to learn. I wanted to ask you about, because my little girl's 10, and I know that between 8 and 12, girls experience a big dip in confidence. Do you see that in class? You obviously, you're connecting with thousands of kids, right?
There are thousands.
Year in, year
I have
out.
1,000 in my classes at the moment. That's a lot of children.
What a vantage point. I want to get into that. But what do you see that in girls, and what can we do as parents to help kind of counter that and support them through that phase?
Yeah, definitely. I call it, when I'm speaking to parents of the children in my classes, I call it wading through mud. It's probably not a very technological, if that's the right word, scientific term, but some go through it, in a much stickier way than others. But they get much more more self-conscious, but it's because they're sort of entering that preliminary stage before they become adults.
Yes.
So it's a whole time of neuroplasticity. So the brain is rewiring. They're obviously making transitions into school, into secondary schools. They're becoming aware. Friendship is everything. Their tribe is everything. So to support it and to make that transition easier, it's our sort of job as adults to find safe spaces for them to take risk, rather than, taking a really dodgy risk or feeling really horrible about their body. Or it's our job to sort of create spaces that they can express themselves, overcome a challenge. It might be if it's performing arts specifically, if they're taking dance classes, you're teaching them that their body is strong, that it can move, that
I was
they
just
look
thinking that your body's a tool. It's not to be judged, or
it tells stories, and in theatre maybe they'll wear a beautiful costume and everybody looks, that they feel proud of what they've done and they've stood up there, and it's not all about this physical appearance. It's about what they can achieve with something, and they're so beautiful. They just don't see it. It's hard. Little people don't see how beautiful they are. And I've been trying to tell, they don't, and teenagers don't. And actually I've taken a lot of time to speak out to young people and say, take the pressure off yourself. We should be telling our children to, you are beautiful. They have so much. They're like seeds, everybody. They're like little precious seeds. And the more we water them and tip this sunshine in and support and celebration, they grow into resilient, strong adults. And I've seen it time and time and time and time again, however long they stay with us. Some people stay with me for 10 years and I see them from 5 to 18. And you see the whole landscape of that mud phase at 8 to 10, the little phase, or when they leave and what they come out like at the other end and what works for them.
Have you got a favourite when you think about that transformation of seeing someone from maybe where they came when they were 4 or 5 to all? Have you got a favourite?
Well, I like the boys going through physically. The young boys who come through, I always say to them, everyone, it's brilliant because they're small, they get a bit bigger, and then they all get taller than me, and their voices break, and they tap me on the head. But stories wise, there's been children who've come in and been. If we're talking about physicality, children grow at different times. So I had a girl who was very tall and she couldn't walk in the room. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. She was petrified, literally coiled up.
Because she was so tall.
Because she was tall.
Yeah.
She would barely walk in the room.
Yeah.
And I was
She probably wanted to shrink the whole time, right?
She was trying physically, if you could imagine her, she was standing there, her hands were clasped to her chest, and we could barely get her in the room. And she came back and she came back and she came back, and she found out she had quite a nice singing voice. You know, we encouraged that, and she came forward and she started to sing solos.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
I cry all the time. I'm surprised I'm not crying and sobbing down the microphone. But it's really emotional. And then she left. They moved to Canada. I think it was Canada. And then kept the performing arts going, found this strength, found this herself, her worth. And oh my goodness me, she's back now and she's performing. She got scholarships to her colleges. She's out there singing. I've never seen anyone so confident. It's amazing how confident she is.
Amazing.
It's really amazing. And just I see a lot of people who perhaps are in secondary school environments and finding this away from the intensity of a secondary school environment.
I was just thinking that when you were talking about the phase that my little girl's in now, I was thinking, because it is tricky with those school groups with girls. And I always had, with my performing arts and a couple of other hobbies, I had like a separate group of friends. And I think that's so important as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really important. It takes all the pressure away, and they have something that's their own that they can be celebrated for and seen. I think it's really important that adults and parents see their children, make them feel seen and heard in whatever way that is. And being seen and heard outside school, where they can make mistakes and be applauded and find other people who are doing what they're doing, and they just grow. A lot of people stay and work for us at Stagecoach.
Do they?
Yeah, I've had people join at 4. They go all the way through. We call early stages, main stages, further stages.
Yeah.
Then they assist. I've got loads of assistants. Then they teach, and I've got people who manage, and I have one.
No, I love that. It's got that real progression family.
Oh, it's
support.
like a family.
Yeah.
I say it's a whole world under there of this performing arts family, and what it does for people. And
how did you get into it?
How did I get into it? Actually, a letter fell through my door.
No.
I had, my friend was Stagecoach Cambridge, and she said, buy a Stagecoach, Sarah, buy a Stagecoach.
Well, so do you buy a franchise? Is that how it
so
works?
you buy an area.
Okay.
So I now have 4 franchises. I've got Twickenham, Teddington, Richmond, Camberley and Yateley. And yeah, I'd always worked with children. I did a lot of parties as a performer. I'm a performer myself, actor by trade, and did a lot of parties and love kids because they're brilliant and they're joyful and they're sponges and they suck everything up. And then sort of just went from there, bought one and love it. The whole business aspect of it and the growth and what a rewarding job.
What do you find the most rewarding?
Oh, I think seeing their confidence grow. You know, and the just joyousness. It's play all the time, teaching them to grow, teaching them to be independent, and watching their little faces light up when they do something that they feel proud of. You're like, well done. It could be a line. It could be putting one foot over the other foot. But just when you see them, you're like, wow, that was brilliant. You know, you didn't do that last week.
Yeah,
you did that this week.
Yeah.
And their little face goes, oh, like little angel puffs and little rainbows fly out of it. And they take that back. And then the parent comes back and says, wow, you know, they're just changed since they've been with you.
Do the parents tell you that they see the confidence that you're nurturing in the Stagecoach class? Do they see that bleeding out to other areas of their life?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. We get people often emailing us in going, they stood up in their school assembly and they did this part, and last year they didn't do it, and other people have been commenting how confident they are, and they wanted to understand why this is what are you doing? What are you doing that we are not doing? We get lots of that, and again, in their exams as they go into secondary school, because they've got something that's given them a bit more confidence and a place to feel noticed and seen, and they go on to do really well. And I have a lot of parents saying this is their place, this is their home, and if we didn't have this, you know, if they're in worse situations, such as they might be being bullied, there's a lot of that in secondary school. Yeah. And a lot of people come to us just so really grateful. I mean, emotionally, there are tears, that this is somewhere that child can grow and feel safe and have a space while they have a rough time through that secondary school
'cause
transition.
At school, you can't, I mean, you can, but there's a feeling when you're going through that lessons and you're trying to fit in, you don't want to stand out, right? You don't want to be at the front of the stage. You want to make yourself small. So I can imagine just having somewhere where that is what you're invited to do, right?
Yeah.
Which is, be seen, be bigger, take up space, find your voice.
And take risks.
Take risks.
Feel that you can take that risk without somebody, perhaps, your peer. It's very tough, isn't it? A teenage being judged and get it wrong. Everyone go, oh, that's all right, or don't worry. And these, they can take the skills with them throughout life.
I just feel like I want everyone to.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Do it.
It really is. And children don't always go into the performing arts.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's not about. It's not about the kids that want to become actors going, is it? It's how do you develop those skills of, like we've been talking about, courage, confidence, resilience, learning how to handle fear, put yourself forward.
100%.
It's like a training ground more than.
It absolutely is a training ground. And I've had. My son recently, I don't want to talk about my children, but it's just a journey because he went from a performing arts background with us at Stagecoach, dancer, now is doing neuroscience. But in these science-based, I'm not dismissing anybody scientific, but perhaps if you've had more interest where you're perhaps reading or looking into science, introspective and not necessarily, or a parent hasn't thought that the performing arts is for you because it looks like very jazzy and sparkly. But having those skills means that he has been able to use it facilitates conversations within a group of people who perhaps haven't had that performing arts training. So when they're talking about crazy equations, I can't do, everybody out there, I haven't got a clue about maths and things, but to have that skill to bring people together, and in any work environment, there's huge, that's a skill set to have in a workplace.
He'll stand out straight away, won't he? If he can present
ideas, work with people, read body language, understand different personalities in the room, because there's so many different personalities, right? In work, in life, and at Stagecoach or performing arts classes, you work together, you overcome challenges, you have to listen to people, you have to...
just vital life skills, right? Absolutely vital
life skills. 100%. And I can't. It's changed my whole life. It's changed my family's life.
I think it changed my life.
Yeah. I think everybody needs to be thinking about that for their small people, whatever way you can, even if it's in your kitchen.
Yes, exactly.
Having a singing and making up a play in the kitchen.
Do a bit of improv at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So fun. So fun. I want to ask you the final questions.
Yeah.
We call them quickfire. They're not that quickfire because they're actually quite deep. But motherhood is teaching me ...
Oh, motherhood is teaching me patience and self-growth. Oh, that's quite hard to say. Patience and self-growth. It's really hard to say.
They're quite linked, aren't they, as well?
They are. I think not to underestimate anybody. I think when I was a young parent and a young business owner and with the children, I would underestimate what people are capable of, perhaps, and tell people
what you were capable of or what the kids were capable of?
What children are capable of, but what everybody is capable of, and to treat people with kindness. And when you treat people with a little bit of kindness, even if it's, you did really well there, or your shoes are really nice, or just very simplicities, tell people to speak out and have, patience with people. We are all going through different things. Everybody's having a different life experience, and it's stepping back and looking at that life experience that people are, other people are having. It's not the same as yours. So I've learned to step in other people's shoes from being a mother.
Well, I imagine from you as well, thousands of kids in your school.
There so many shoes.
So many shoes to like, so many stories.
So many stories.
See every challenge, every background, every demographic, just wow, like what a rich tapestry of life you get to be a part of.
Yeah,
what
it's
privilege,
amazing.
Really,
it's a huge privilege. And people
Yeah.
come to me or you, the principal, and they tell you their stories and tell you what they're struggling with.
I imagine the parents get quite emotional because particularly if the kid's been being bullied and they're like, I just really want them to find some confidence. Can you help? Like I can imagine going to someone like you saying that.
Yeah, there's so many tears. I cry on a regular basis.
Yeah, same. We shouldn't get together too much. It would
No.
it would just be like a huge sob fest. What is something that you didn't value before motherhood? that you now do?
This is super easy. This is time.
Yes.
And
what did we do with all our time before?
What did we do with all our time? But
wish I could shake my 25-year-old self. Let me tell you.
I know.
You're not tired and you've got a lot of time.
The days just drifted on. You would sit in that time when but it's kind of two types of time, which I think is really important. So obviously, parents, you don't have time to maybe, do the washing, do the cleaning, and that's all obvious stuff. But now I've got slightly older children, and it's be grateful for the time that you have.
Yeah.
Sit in. I know you've got the 6 and the 10-year-old, and this is a beautiful time. Enjoy. You have friends. You're going out having meals with people and tea
super
parties.
Social this age.
Social birthday parties, and now you come out the other end, and you have more time. So actually, I've appreciated the time I have with them now. Before I've done my job and sent them off as much as I can into the ether, little bird flying. So in all forms of time, and then the time for myself. What does that look like? What coming out the other end? Again, going back to confidence, your child will grow up, and with those confidence skills as they hit all different phases of their life, as you turn into adulthood and your seasons change, how you handle that confidently in that time. So time is huge. Treasure it. Treasure every moment. Treasure every pain, every sleepless night, every moment, every knock and fall and scrape. I might well up, but it's so precious because it goes so quickly, and nobody sort of told me they grew up, and now I'm left with 4 dogs and it's a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. I've got 1 dog. I can barely cope with her, let's be honest. And what is one gift that you would want to give to all the mothers in the world, and why?
I would give them the superpower of rejuvenation.
Oh, I like that. No one's ever said that.
Because, you do get pulled from pillar to post. You're up with a baby, you're feeding a baby, that takes all your, freshness away for a time, and then they get a bit bigger, and then you're waiting for them to come home. So if we had a really fabulous snazzy button that you could press.
What would we rejuvenate? Energy, skin,
everything. Energy, skin.
Tighten everything up. Sparkle factor, pizzazz. I don't know, should we call it the pizzazz button? I don't know. I can picture it. I'm picturing the button.
Every mother needs that superpower. The power of rejuvenation.
Bing.
Very quickly. Here I am. I'm ready. It's
almost like you come up with jazz hands and you're ready to go.
And a little bit of glitter on each kind of, by your eyes.
Yes, just a twinkle in the eye.
Just a twinkle.
Sarah, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Absolutely love this. I didn't expect to get emotional.
Ah.
And I think it is so emotional, isn't it? Talking about kids' confidence in this world that we're preparing them for. I'm just so grateful for Stagecoach for kind of bringing you into our audience and, for the little part in my journey that Stagecoach had. And I really just want to encourage everyone to go and check it out. If you go to stagecoach.co.uk/motherkind, you can see there where you can try 2 sessions, which is quite rare, isn't it? Where you can go and try 2, and it's actually 2 3-hour sessions. So it's enough for your child if they are a bit older. I think that's for 6-year-olds up, to really get a sense of it, if it's going to be something that they're going to enjoy. And then if someone carries on, then that £50 comes off your termly fee then, doesn't it? So I'd really encourage everyone to go and check out stagecoach.co.uk/motherkind. There are no auditions. No one's going to be asked to stand on the stage, are they, in front of everyone else?
So it's everyone, every sort of person for whatever reason.
And I can just imagine, you and all that kind of other principals in the schools, just how enveloping and welcoming you are when someone new walks in.
Yeah, we are enveloping. Yeah, it's just joyful.
Come in.
Have fun. Yeah.
So every child really is welcome. And Stagecoach's kind of line is creative courage for life. And I think I can just really see, getting to know the business again and you a little bit, I can just really see how true that is, that it is creative. It does develop the courage, and it's for life. What an amazing investment. So thank you so much. I have loved it.
Me too. Thank you for having me. All the very best, everyone, and parents. Good luck.